What up, and welcome. I'm Matthew Msingati, the designer and developer. This is my YouTube channel, Coded Design, where I teach coding and user interface design. This is a somewhat different video from the usual videos that I do, simply because it's a special request by Mr. Lushuku. He requested that I do a video or some sort of a course on student management system. Obviously, I'm going to use PHP, JQuery, CSS, and HTML. So in this video, first of all, I want to thank him for taking his time to, first of all, watch my video and also commenting there and feeling more comfortable enough to ask something from me. He also sent an email detailing the requirements for the system. I like the fact that the requirements are not too much. It's simple, but that doesn't mean that it's easy, because I'm planning to make it fully object-oriented programming. Reason being, I want people who are viewing it so that they can learn from it skills and technique that they are going to use in real life, and also maybe I'm hoping that they might land a job from the skills that they've learned there. And also I'm going to apply the MVC pattern the best way I know how, the most practical way, and also in a way that makes sense. So what I wanted to discuss in this video is my approach to it. First of all, what I like about the request is that it takes me away from a comfort zone of the scope of my knowledge as far as let's say business is concerned, because I've been in the corporate world for some time. As you know by now, I've worked as a graphic designer and a production manager, so I've got a lot of information about business and what is expected on business application. And also I think I've got a little knowledge about creating business objects. Like, for instance, if I have to create an object of an item, something that can be sold, or an invoice object, or a quotation object. But now this request is pushing me to some sort of a quite unfamiliar environment, academic. That means that I'm going to create a student management system, so I have to see it through, I have to plan, and also I have to create new objects which are outside the scope of business. It's not going to be a quotation, it's not going to be items that are going to be sold, and so forth. So what's my approach to it, or how am I gonna do it? What's on my mind at the moment? As you know that in my channel I would like to be more practical. I like practical programming. I like to be more practical. I'd like to make videos that people relate to, and also try to solve the problems that they are currently solving in a more practical manner. So what's on my mind at the moment? I'm going to start by designing the whole system. First of all, let me talk about what am I going to cover in this student management system. Number one, I'm going to cover the design aspect of it. It's going to be very brief. It's not going to be too long, because it's not coding per se, but it's going to be designing, pure designing. So what do I mean by pure designing? I'm going to use a graphic design application to design the interface. It's going to be CorelDRAW, Illustrator, or even Adobe XD. I will have to see which one I choose. So that part will be there. That means the actual design. I will compile that file as a PDF, and then I will use it to code. I will code from that file. So that one I'm going to cover. And then secondly, I'm going to cover the structure or the architectural design. Obviously, this is outside the scope of programming. We're not just gonna get into Visual Studio Code and start coding. We're gonna plan the whole system. For instance, I will have to think of all my objects and the classes that I'm going to create, and also I will have to have a map of how these objects are communicating with each other. which objects are going to be parents and which objects are going to inherit from that parent, and also the dependencies and the flow of dependencies. As you, maybe I might have told you that on the current project that I'm busy with, the accounting system, I'm stuck on dependency management, as I've heard by a guy called Uncle Bob. I think he's the pioneer behind the solid principle. So he said basically all software development or application, it's plus minus the managing dependencies. So he was just emphasizing that a large portion of software development, it's managing dependencies. So on the accounting system that I'm developing now, I'm stuck there on managing dependencies. To give you a brief as to what do I mean by being stuck there, it's like I have an object that I have a class that receives an object as a dependency, but that dependency inside this class, it also needs the class that is inside in as a dependency. If that's not clear, I'm just going to make a real life example of two snakes which are eating each other from the tail. So this one is eating this one from the tail and the other one is eating the other one. Sooner or later they will realize that we are eating each other, and unfortunately we can't eat each other up, so they will have to see what they can do or reverse the process. So it's like they will reach a deadlock in a way. So in that accounting system, that's where I am stuck in now. I haven't managed my dependencies very well. So it's like I've got a child giving back to I've got a parent giving birth to a child, and now the child wants to give birth to that parent. So in this school management system, I'm going to be more practical. I'm going to map out all my objects and the relationship between my object. For instance, which objects are going to be singletons, which is they must just be instantiated once in the entire app. Which objects are going to be routing objects, which objects are going to help me with the flow of information from the front end, the processing, and then the output back to the front end. And also, what principle am I going to apply, the design principle and also design patterns and the solid principle. So that will be my approach. I will map out everything first. I will see if this video is going to be a digital presentation, which is recording a screen of my laptop, or it's going to be a whiteboard kind of a presentation where I use an erasable marker and map out all the objects. I will have to decide on that, but that's what I'm going to do. So the reason why I'm going to do that, as I was learning coding, I realized that it's good to have technical knowledge like PHP skills and whatever, but I didn't went far with those, having a background of Visual Basic as a code, an IDE that I've learned in school, we were using in school. So I didn't go far with that, but having a great deal of designing the application, having an understanding of the architecture behind the file structure, how you're going to organize your objects, and the decision that you're going to make, I think that is also very important, because it's going to speed up my technical coding. When I get into the coding, I believe things are going to be quicker and faster. So we're going to plan everything, all the objects, and have our object map, what's going to be a singleton, who's going to call who's going to inherit from who, our factory that will manufacture the dependencies for us, and we're going to map that out. Then once we are done with that, and then from there we're going to create the user interface, design and code in HTML, and then once we are done with that, we're going to implement it and go to PHP, or maybe we might start with the planning of the database and make the UML for the database, and then from then we're gonna get into the PHP code. So if I can get to summarize the whole process, first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna map out all the objects. We're gonna do an object map so that we can see visually which objects are we going to have, which interfaces are we going to have, and also which routers are we going to have, and all those things visually, so that you can see that here is the map. After the map and then we're gonna plan the database, the structure, how our tables are gonna be arranged and what tables we're gonna need, which tables are gonna be our master tables and which tables are gonna be the detail tables. And then from then we're gonna get into the PHP code. After that, we're gonna do the HTML and CSS from the design, and then from then we're gonna get into the PHP code. So at this point in time, that's what I'm thinking, and that's what is on my mind as far as the whole system is concerned. Otherwise, for me, Matthew Msingati, I hope you're gonna learn something, and also I hope you might get a job from learning everything that the process and how am I gonna do it. As you might know by now that I'm all about the mistakes and the decision that the developer makes behind the scene. I don't like to present something that is concrete to people. So let's learn together.